All right, moving on, the United Nations has launched its first Hindi news website in a move that is expected to provide a boost to India's efforts to make Hindi one of the official UN languages. Now, India needs support from 2/3 of the 193-member UNGA to get Hindi official status at the United Nations. With the launch of the website, Hindi becomes the first non-UN Asian language to have that honor. The UN is currently also using Hindi on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter and Instagram to enhance its reach. The inauguration of the Hindi news website is said to be part of a UN pilot program to promote global rules and values using languages other than the 6 official ones. The UN had last year launched a weekly news bulletin in Hindi too. Now, pilgrims from across the world have gathered for the Mela that is set to begin on Tuesday in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. Billed as the world's largest gathering of people, this year's festival is expected to be attended by nearly 120 million people. All right, shifting focus from salvation now to pollution. New Delhi's air quality index has been consistently at hazardous levels. In fact, a model of a human lung which had been set up had turned black just 6 days after it was installed. But a similar sort of a model human lung which was set up at a park in Lucknow, the capital of Uttar Pradesh, has turned black in a span of just 24 hours. The 8-foot by 12-foot artificial lungs made of HEPA filters is an indicator of how poor the air quality is in the city of Lucknow. According to reports, no less than 2.6 lakh people lost their lives in the year 2017 and more than 12 lakh people lost their lives across India. In fact, in the wake of chronic air pollution, the Indian Environment Ministry issued guidelines and proposed changes to the pollution law. Drastic measures such as halting construction activity have been used on and off in the national capital to keep the AQI below the permissible levels. Now, if you're wondering what is common between New Delhi and Bangkok, then the answer is chronic air pollution. According to the local administration in Bangkok, the air quality in the city has plummeted to such alarming levels that residents of the Thai capital have been advised to wear face masks, avoid physical activity and stay indoors as much as possible. A thick blanket of smog has enveloped the city for the last few weeks. Unlike the regular winter fog, what Bangkok has been enveloped in this year is a deadly cloud of fine dust particles and other suspended particulate matter. The AQI has shot up to hazardous levels, with the PM 2.5 AQI at 394. This despite Bangkok being a coastal city. Now, the authorities have warned that air pollution in Bangkok has become a serious threat to public health.
ส่วนใหญ่เนี่ยมาจากส่วนที่หนึ่งคืองานก่อสร้างของเราเองไม่ว่าจะเป็นงานก่อสร้างโครงสร้างพื้นฐานของรัฐที่เกิดขึ้นนะครับถนนหนทางรถไฟฟ้าขณะเดียวกันงานก่อสร้างของภาคเอกชนเรื่องงานอาคารที่ติดตามมาในแนวรถไฟฟ้าเอง ก็เพิ่มขึ้นมา2เนี่ยส่วนหนึ่งก็จะมาจากการเผาไหม้ของรถยนต์นะครับเนื่องจากว่าเราเองต้องยอมรับอย่างบ้านเรารถติดรถเยอะ
Now, the cause of pollution in Bangkok is exactly the same as it is in the Indian capital of New Delhi. Vehicular emissions, dust from construction activity, and post-harvest stubble burning. In spite of the measures announced by the local administration in Bangkok, which is extremely popular with tourists, the toxic mixture of smog persists to blanket the city this winter. Authorities in Bangkok have resorted to sprinkling water to bring down the suspended particulate matter in the city. The pollution levels are so bad this year that the Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has ordered the Thai Pollution Control Board to address this issue on a priority. According to a study, every microgram of PM10 beyond the safe limits cost the people of Bangkok 18.2 billion bahts, or about $570 million in medical expenses. But PM2.5 particles are even more harmful, as the pollutant particles are so small that they can get into the lungs and even enter the bloodstream. Prolonged exposure to air pollution can cause respiratory diseases, including lung cancer, heart disease, and stroke. And trailing right behind New Delhi and Bangkok is the capital of South Korea. The level of pollution has worsened in and around Seoul, covering the areas with a thick haze and smog. According to the South Korean Environment Ministry, the levels of fine dust particles have been increasing at an alarming level in and around Seoul. Emergency measures have been enacted for the third consecutive day, and people have been asked to avoid outdoor activities and wear masks on the streets. Now, air pollutants in Seoul are 30 times thinner than a human hair and can enter the lungs and even the human bloodstream when inhaled. Now, some local experts have blamed China for the fine dust pollutants in South Korea, but China has denied it, claiming that the fine dust in Seoul was generated locally and not in China. Meanwhile, winter conditions and snow continue to pummel the U.S. Midwest. At least 7 people have been killed so far in highway accidents. Now, after dropping more than a foot of snow on parts of the Midwest, the storm has now rolled eastward to the mid-Atlantic states. Now, Washington, D.C. endured its first major snowstorm of 2019. The capital was forecast to receive almost half a foot of snow, forcing airlines to cancel over 100 flights, leaving the Ronald Reagan Airport. Police in the U.S. state of Virginia said that they responded to more than 200 traffic crashes and helped more than 100 disabled vehicles. The storm knocked out power for nearly 200,000 people in Virginia and North Carolina on Sunday. The state's governor, Ralph Northam, issued a preemptive state of emergency in anticipation of more snow, ice accumulation, and power outages in the state. The weather system, which began as rain in Mexico, has since turned into snow. The storm is now expected to affect over 2,000 kilometers across the U.S. Millions of Americans in 10 states and Washington, D.C. are now under a winter storm advisory. Meanwhile, in Europe, 3 German skiers were found dead after they were swept away in an avalanche near an Austrian ski resort. The bodies of 3 men were recovered a few hours after the wife of one of these skiers reported them as missing. Now, the search for a 4th person declared as missing had to be halted due to the ongoing avalanche risk. Heavy snow has hit the Austrian Alps in the past week, raising avalanche warning levels and cutting off local roads. Austria has seen record snowfall this week, with more forecast for the next 2 days.
Nach unseren aktuellen Informationen ist diese Vierer-Skigruppe in den langen Zug über die gesperrte Skiroute in den Raum eingetreten und dann ist es zu einem Lawinenabgang gekommen, wo alle vier verschüttet worden sind. Wie gesagt, nach der vierten Person wird noch gesucht. Die anderen 3 Personen wurden leider nicht mehr lebend geborgen. Also die Lawinenwarnstufe ist 3 bis 4. Zum Zeitpunkt des Lawinenabgangs war es nach unseren Informationen Lawinenwarnstufe 3. Also nichtsdestotrotz eine sehr hohe Lawinenwarnstufe und wir haben immer empfohlen und empfehlen nach wie vor, die gesicherte Piste nicht zu verlassen.
Meanwhile, intense cold weather continues to batter parts of northern India. Temperatures in the mountainous state of Himachal Pradesh plunged as the region received a light rainfall. In Kinnaur, the temperature continues to be at sub-zero level and the situation is not likely to get better in the coming days. Many roads have been blocked. Temperatures across Uttarakhand dipped as mild snow covered the region's higher altitudes. Authorities have advised residents and tourists not to venture in the high hills. And northern parts of Jammu and Kashmir also witnessed light rain and snow. Traffic was suspended on the Srinagar-Jammu National Highway due to slippery road conditions. Weather Office is predicting more snow in the next 24 hours.